Once upon a time, in a small and beautiful village, there lived a girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She had a bright red cloak that her grandmother made for her. Everyone in the village loved her, because she was very kind and cheerful. One sunny morning, Little Red Riding Hood's mother called her. "Dear, your grandmother is not feeling well. Would you like to take this basket to her? It has bread, butter, and her favorite jam." Little Red Riding Hood happily said, "Yes, mother. I will go." Little Red Riding Hood gave her mother a warm hug and set off. On her way, she looked at the colorful flowers and listened to the cheerful birds, picking some wildflowers for her grandmother. Suddenly, she saw a wolf hiding among the bushes. The wolf smiled and approached her. "Hello, little girl. Where are you going?" Little Red Riding Hood replied, "I am going to my grandmother's house at the end of this path." The wolf's eyes sparkled with mischief. He said, "Why don't you pick some more flowers? Your grandmother will be so happy." Little Red Riding Hood agreed and started to collect more flowers while the wolf hurried to her grandmother's house. When the wolf reached the grandmother's house, he knocked on the door. "Who is it?" Grandma asked. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf replied. Grandma opened the door, and before she could do anything, the wolf locked her in a closet and put on her nightgown. After picking many flowers, Little Red Riding Hood arrived at her grandmother's house. She knocked on the door and said, "Grandma, I'm here." But something seemed strange. The room was dark, and Little Red Riding Hood noticed that her grandmother looked very different. "Oh, Grandma! What big eyes you have!" Little Red Riding Hood said. The wolf smiled and replied, "All the better to see you with." "And what big ears you have," she continued. "All the better to hear you with," the wolf answered. "But Grandma, what big teeth you have," she said in fear. The wolf suddenly jumped up and said, "All the better to eat you with." Just then, a brave hunter passing by heard the noise and rushed into the house. The hunter saw the wolf and shouted, "Get away from her!" He quickly grabbed his axe and chased the wolf out of the house. Then he freed Grandma from the closet, and they hugged each other tightly. After making sure they were both safe, the hunter explained that it is important to be careful and not talk to strangers. Little Red Riding Hood promised to always be careful and listen to her mother's advice. From that day on, every time Little Red Riding Hood visited her grandmother, she brought flowers and treats. They shared stories and laughter together and were happy to be safe. And so, Little Red Riding Hood learned an important lesson about bravery and caution. She lived happily with her family in their small village and always remembered to be careful in the woods.